Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And today, again, we are talking with Lucas from Maritimes Immigration Consulting, and we are going to talk about permanent residency in Canada. Hi, Lucas. Good morning.
Hi, Ivan. Hope you are doing well.
Yeah, all good here. Thank you. So let's start by clarifying what the PR or permanent residency stands for.
So when we talk about PR or permanent residence in Canada, it means that the person obtains status to live here in Canada forever, right? So when you are here on a study permit or work permit, you have temporary status. So it means that you are allowed to stay here for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years to either study or work. But once you obtain permanent resident status, it means that you can stay here, you can live in Canada to work, study, and you don't have to go back home, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a status that is very similar to the green card in the US, right? Mm-hmm. So usually when I do this reference to the green card, people understand what PR stands for in Canada. Mm-hmm. So that's how it's called in Canada, right? Mm-hmm. The PR, permanent resident status. Mm-hmm. And one of the advantages of the permanent residency is that you can also gain access to some things that are not available for temporary residents, right? So once you have PR, you can, for example, go to university or college and you get funding from the government, right? So you do have access to grants, loans, and instead of paying international tuition fee, you actually pay domestic student fees, right? Mm-hmm. Tuition fees. Mm-hmm. So instead of paying, I don't know, 15, 16,000 in tuition fees, you pay 2,000, 3,000, right? Mm-hmm. So that's actually covered by the government because you have status in Canada. Mm-hmm. Another advantage is that you have access to healthcare, public healthcare. You can apply for government jobs, right? So there are some positions that they require the applicant to have permanent resident status or to be a Canadian citizen. And after 3 years as a permanent resident, if you want, you can apply for Canadian citizenship. So you can obtain your Canadian passport. So that's what PR stands for, permanent residency in Canada.
It looks like an amazing opportunity for people who want to live in a first world country and have wonderful opportunities. And that's amazing. And can you tell us a little bit more about ways to make it happen, opportunities to become a permanent resident?
Mm-hmm. So international students have many options to apply for PR here in Nova Scotia. So basically, the government really likes international students, right? Because you're bringing people who are actually advancing their education. You know, they are becoming highly employable here in Canada, right? Mm-hmm. So the employability for international students is great because they do have the fluency in the language, either French or English. They have Canadian education. And they also have the skills, right, to actually help the companies here in the province. Mm-hmm. So there are a few programs that are perfect for international students. So I'm not going to cover all the programs because we have limited time. But basically, I picked 3 here that I believe are the most interesting programs for international students in Nova Scotia. So one is called the International Graduate Entrepreneur. So if you study here in Nova Scotia for 2 years or more, and you decide to open your own business, you can apply for permanent residency after 1 year, right? Managing your business. So that's a great opportunity for people who are either maybe, I don't know, studying business or maybe management, and they already have an idea, right, that can actually help the province here. So kind of feel like a labor gap or something. Mm-hmm. Another interesting program is called the International Graduates in Demand. So there are a few areas here in Nova Scotia that we really need people to work in. And one of them is the CCA, Continuing Care Assistant, and also for people who want to work in early childhood education. So, for example, daycares. So this specific program, the International Graduates in Demand, was created specifically for those two positions, right? So if you do study either CCA or the early childhood education program, you can apply for this PR program once you graduate. Of course, you need to have a full-time job offer. So that's a great option for people who are coming to these specific areas.
Mm-hmm.
And another option that I believe is the most popular one, and it covers like a big range of areas and positions and work experiences, is the Atlantic Immigration Program. So the biggest advantage of the Atlantic Immigration Program is that international students do not need to show work experience, right? So this is perfect, for example, if you have a student who is in his 20s or her 20s, don't have a lot of work experience back home, so they can actually come and study in Canada for 2 years or more. It has to be in Nova Scotia. Study for 2 years or more in a post-secondary institution, right? So either college or university. Once they graduate, if they do have a job offer from an employer in the province, they can apply for a permanent residency without showing any previous work experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's also a great option for international students who are more mature. Maybe they are in their 30s, 40s, even 50s. Because the Atlantic Immigration Program does not have age limit, right? So a lot of programs, they do have age limits. For example, the other two programs that I mentioned, the International Graduate in Demand and the only the International Graduates in Demand for the CCA and the Early Childhood Educator. It has to be between 21 and 55 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some programs, they have this limit until 55. So you cannot be younger than 21 years old, cannot be older than 55 years old. But the Atlantic Immigration Program does not have any age limit, and that's a great option for either younger students or more mature students.
Okay, well, that's great. That's amazing. Well, lots of information. It's hard to take everything in the first at the first hearing, but I am sure that we can listen to this webinar more often. And if we have if we have questions about it, is there a website or a place where I can look for general information?
Yeah, so if you go to Google and you type Nova Scotia immigration, you're going to land on the Nova Scotia immigration website. And the website is really helpful because it separates all the immigration streams. So they do have one part of the website here where they have all these programs like the Entrepreneur, the International Graduates in Demand. They also have information about the Skilled Worker Program. It's also an interesting option. Occupations in Demand, right? So we didn't talk about occupations in demand, but basically this is a program that is specialized in helping people who work in NOC C or D, right? So for example, someone who works as a server, like as a waitress, right? So maybe you graduate from college or university, you get a good job as a waitress, you're making a lot of money with tips. You can actually become a permanent resident working as a waitress or a server based on this occupation in demand program, right? So this is specific for people who work, for example, as a cleaner, right? Cleaner is one of the positions that are one of the most common positions for international students when they first arrive in Canada. Oh, you work as a cleaner. You can actually immigrate in Nova Scotia working as a cleaner.
That's amazing.
On the occupations in demand program, right? So you can read more about the programs and the requirements on the Nova Scotia immigration website. And they also have a specific part here on the website where they talk only about the Atlantic immigration program. So you have all the requirements and everything that you need to know. And of course, if you need more assistance, I'm happy to help. I can also provide support and answer questions, and also represent people in their PR application.
Brilliant. Okay, so great, Lucas. Thank you so much for all this incredible information. Thank you very much for your time. I hope our friends who will be, watching this sometime will contact you and get in touch with you for more extra information. Thank you so much. And maybe in a few weeks, we'll get back together and we talk about another topic, maybe immigration in different parts of Canada, maybe the cost of immigration, which is also very important to know. And but we'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Lucas.
Sounds good, Ivan. Take care. It was nice talking to you today.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.